open as far into all African countries and even Africans who are out of the Cameroon, out of Africa.
The last one, Eunice.
Thank you very much, Prof. That is the General Assembly for you.
Sylvia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Nwaru. Good morning, everyone. We are about to start our panel discussions for today on gender issues in research productivity and its impact in Africa, with the help of some incredible minds. Each of our panelists brings a unique perspective and wealth of experience to the table. Our first panelist is Dr. Bridget Bannerman. She received her PhD from the University of Cambridge, MSc from the University of Manchester, and BSc from the University of Port Harcourt. She's the Director of Studies and tutor, Lucy Cavendish College, University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. Dr. Bannerman's career has spanned the Medical Research Council, the Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute, Cambridge University, and hospitals, and working partnerships with several industrial partners, including PPD, Takeda, formerly Share Pharmaceuticals, Movitus Pharmaceuticals, a spin-off company from Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie Pharmaceuticals, Quintiles, Micron Research, and Pfizer. Dr. Bannerman is highly skilled in navigating diverse scientific, educational, socio-political, and cultural backgrounds to build on projects involving interactions with healthcare professionals, scientists, and stakeholders in both advanced and emerging markets to guide projects on drug discovery, antimicrobial resistance, and promote best practices in migrating the impacts of infectious diseases. In her recent role as a scientific lead and global project manager of a Pfizer-sponsored AMR project, Dr. Bannerman tapped on her extensive contacts in the UK and internationally, including engagements with key government regulatory authorities to support country-level assessments, guiding the participation of sites from low and middle-income countries, and providing technical expertise towards best practices in AMR surveillance. Dr. Bannerman has received several awards from the World Health Organization, the Special Program for Research and Training in Tropical Diseases, the Royal Society UK, and the Schlumberger Foundation Faculty for the Future for Drug Discovery Research on the Human African Trypanosomiasis and initiating a global collaborative initiative. She has also developed predictive models to support drug discovery initiatives towards infections caused by mycobacteria and SARS-CoV-2. She is the founder and research director of Science Resources Africa, facilitating STEM innovations in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics amongst the youth in sub-Saharan Africa. Next up, we have Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah. Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah is a professor of clinical microbiology in the Department of Microbiology and Immunology, School of Medical Sciences, University of Cape Coast, Ghana. Her main academic qualifications include a medical degree, a master's, and a PhD degree. In addition to these, she has had many additional trainings in the areas of infectious diseases, medical laboratory science, public health, and research from recognized national, regional, and international institutions and agencies. Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah has extensive undergraduate and postgraduate teaching experience across various health disciplines and has held many administrative positions in her academic career, including head of department, immediate past dean of the School of Nursing and Midwifery, and currently a deputy director for the Directorate of Research, Innovation and Consultancy, UCC, under the Vice Chancellor's Office. She is a clinician scientist whose research and clinical practice focus on infectious diseases using a multi and interdisciplinary approach. She has over 100 peer-reviewed publications in reputable journals and has contributed to many policy guideline documents nationally and globally. She is the winner of the Taylor and Francis Commonwealth Scholar Best Journal Article Prize 2020, among many other awards and scholarships over the years. She is a 2023 Global Visiting Professor at the Technical University of Munich, Germany. Professor Obiri-Yeboah is a member of the many national, regional, and international professional organizations and networks, including National Pediatric HIV Task Team, Ghana, West Africa Health Organization, Infectious Disease Research Network, International AIDS Society, IAS, Organization of Women in Science for the Developing World, OWSD, and currently the country ambassador for the International Papillomavirus Society. Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah serves as a mentor for new faculty in her university and teaching hospital, a mentor for the International AIDS Society, Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, the Central and West Africa Implementation Science Alliance, and also the International Papillomavirus Society mentorship programs. Our third panelist is Dr. Karen Cloete. The research work of Dr. Karen Cloete is focused on the interdisciplinary and translational applications of biological material chemical fingerprinting with ion beam and synchrotron radiation technologies and the biological applications of nanosciences and nanotechnology. She is currently a senior scientist at the UNESCO UNISA Africa Chair in Nanosciences and Nanotechnology Laboratories at the University of South Africa and the Nanosciences African Network at the IFEMBA Laboratory for Accelerator-Based Science, National Research Foundations, as well as a member of Nano Energy for Sustainable Development in Africa, where her work is guided by the Sustainable Development Goals. She has been the recipient of notable scholarships, grants, and awards, selected for international schools in France and Brazil, and as visiting scientist, visited and received training at international research centers of standing in Pakistan, National Center for Physics, Brazil, Brazilian Synchrotron Light Laboratory, Italy, Elettra, Slovenia, Joseph Stefan Institute, and France, European Synchrotron Radiation Facility. She is a valued educator who has developed, convened, lectured, and examined courses supported by e-learning platforms in microbiology, microscopy, as well as science communication. She has organized, chaired, and presented workshops to registrars, clinical consultants, and medical scientists, as well as to early career science fellows and academicians. She has mentored and co-supervised national and international fellows from interdisciplinary fields and has also published interdisciplinary research papers in high-impact international journals. She has been invited, featured at or presented her work in oral format at international academic and non-academic conferences of standing, and have also served as a session chair, panelist, and invited speaker. She has further served as a reviewer, editorial board member, and technical editor. She strongly believes in the power of science to effect positive change. And last but not the least is Professor Rose Ogu. Professor Rosemary Ogu is an alumnus of the College of Medical Sciences, University of Benin, where she shone like a star between 1991 to 1999, graduating with a distinction in medicine and surgery. She was as brilliant then as she is now. She went on to residency training in the obstetrics and gynecology department of the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital between 2003 and 2008, bagging the fellowships of the West African College of Surgeons and the National Postgraduate Medical College within 1 month of each other. Of course, the University of Port Harcourt quickly snatched her up, appointing her as lecturer in 2009. Within 9 years of this appointment, she rose through the ranks through hard work and determination to become the second female professor of obstetrics and gynecology in her department, where she is now head of department. Her leadership has witnessed several innovations: a fund drive to facilitate improved service delivery and a WhatsApp group for pregnant women receiving antenatal care. This group, which has close to 1,000 women, is a platform for health education, counseling, and support for women, and they absolutely love it. Professor Ogu's profile is incomplete without extensive reference to Medical Women's Association of Nigeria, which she joined as a house officer in 1999. From the get-go, Professor Ogu fell in love with the association, and the association fell in love with her. What is not to love? She has been one of the most active members of the Rivers State branch, serving as publicity secretary, president-elect, and president. Her drive is unparalleled, and her can-do spirit is infectious. Professor Ogu fears no obstacles and never takes no for an answer. She envisions it, she achieves it. Impossible is nothing. At the national level and international levels, Professor Ogu has served in committees in Medical Women's Association of Nigeria and the Medical Women International Association. She has brought innovation, freshness, and excellence to bear on everything she has been tasked with. Above all, Professor Ogu is a warm, loving woman who sees the best in everyone. She has the temperament and disposition to work well with anyone with uncanny patience and passion. Professor Ogu is the current national president of the Medical Women's Association of Nigeria. Now, to guide us through these insightful discussions, we are privileged to have Professor Bright Nwaru. Bright Nwaru is an associate professor of respiratory epidemiology at the Institute of Medicine, University of Gothenburg, Sweden. After completing his PhD in epidemiology from Tampere University, Finland in 2012, and a year of postdoctoral posts at the same university, he moved to the University of Edinburgh, United Kingdom in 2014, where he worked in a research position until 2017, combining it with a research position at Tampere University. In 2017, he moved to the University of Gothenburg for a tenure track position, where he remains until today. His research includes various clinical and population epidemiologic investigations into respiratory diseases and allergy. His research work has resulted in over 180 original publications in leading respiratory
Sylvia, it seems you're muted. Sylvia, you're muted. All right, Sylvia, you're muted. I think,
Okay,
yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. If you can, Sylvia, you are muted again. You are muted, Sylvia. You are muted, Sylvia.
Okay, I was on.
Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. I was unmuted.
Okay, so yeah, just to make a comment, I mentioned this when we started. Somebody who has a co-host right is touching some buttons, you're meeting everybody. So I said it earlier, if you have a co-host right, don't touch the button of meeting. I will do that from here because that can cause this kind of problems. So otherwise I will withdraw the co-host right from those who have it. We had similar issues yesterday. So if you have a co-host right, don't mute anyone, just maintain your own distance there. All right, Sylvia, we didn't hear a lot about what you were saying. You can go ahead.
All right, so I'll take the introduction of the anchor again. So to guide us through these insightful discussions, we are privileged to have Professor Bright Nwaru. Bright Nwaru is an associate professor of respiratory epidemiology at the Institute of Medicine, University of Gothenburg, Sweden. After completing his PhD in epidemiology from Tampere University, Finland, in 2012 and a year of postdoctoral posts at the same university, he moved to the University of Edinburgh, United Kingdom, in 2014, where he worked in a research position until 2017, combining it with a research position at Tampere University. In 2017, he moved to the University of Gothenburg for a tenure track position, where he remains until today. His research includes various clinical and population epidemiologic investigations into respiratory diseases and allergy. His research work has resulted in over 180 original publications in leading respiratory and allergy journals. He is a recipient of over $15 million in grants for his research during the last 10 years. He teaches doctoral courses in epidemiology and research methods in health and medicine. Dr. Nwaru is an adjunct professor of epidemiology at Tampere University and an honorary fellow at the University of Edinburgh, United Kingdom. He is an academic editor for PLOS ONE and Scientific Reports and an associate editor of Frontiers in Allergy. He's passionate about mentoring scientists of African origin, with which he founded the African Science Frontiers Initiatives, a research capacity building platform for African scientists. Together, this panel represents a wealth of knowledge and diverse perspectives. And without further ado, let's dive into this enriching discussion with our esteemed panelists and anchor. Thank you very much for your attention. Professor Nwaru, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for the fantastic work. So I was commenting on the chat box, ladies and gentlemen, that we have women of timber and caliber. You can see the amount of time it took to read summary. I told them to provide 300 words. What if they have given everything they have done? So ladies and gentlemen, I think this morning we are looking forward to very important discussions. So I welcome you all, our panelists, starting from Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah, joining us from Ghana. I have Dr. Bridget Bannerman joining us from the United Kingdom. I have Professor Mary Ogu joining us from Nigeria, and Dr. Karen Cloete from South Africa. I would like to have the videos of the panel members. I hope I can see a few of them, not every one of them. Yes. Where is Professor Ogu? All right, she's here. Okay, great. I hope audience, you're ready. We will go through this. We'll have over close to 2 hours, really. And so we do it in a very relaxed way and try to get the issues on board. So we have muted everyone, because if the nerves get so hot, nobody intrudes into our discussion. There will be time for the audience. So just calm yourself down. When we discuss this issue, there will be time for the audience to give their own input. So I will call you to that. Okay, are you all ready? Dr. Bannerman, you're ready? All right. Professor Obiri-Yeboah, you're ready? Professor Ogu, you're ready? Good. And Dr. Karen Cloete, you're ready? All right. Okay, I will start like this. Let me start with, I will just interchanging between my slide and the pictures. So I will go around, just take a minute or a few seconds to look at this. I have some things here: gender inequality, gender equality, gender gap, gender injustice, gender favoritism, and one I forgot I didn't put here was gender balance. Which one is it? Is it particular one? Is it all of them? Or which one are we talking about really? So let me go around and ask Dr. Bannerman.
Yes.
Yes, which one of these is the issue?
Do you mind putting back that slide? Okay.
Yes.
I think I would take gender inequality.
Gender inequality.
That's the main one, yes.
Okay.
We can go through every single topic you have listed here is saying something. Every single one. So
Do
we
they
know
mean the same thing?
Yeah, in and about, you look at it from different perspectives. We are saying
Okay.
the same thing. Yeah.
All right. Prof. Ogu, which one is it?
I think we're talking about gender equality today. We're looking at it from the aspect of research. I also agree with Prof that we can look at all of them and get the same thing from all of them, in the sense that we're talking about gender imbalance, gender balance, gender inequality, gender equality, gender favoritism. But today, when we're talking relating to research, I believe we want to look at the equality. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Karen Cloete, which one is it?
Yeah, so thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. I'm very happy to be here. And I think I agree with my colleagues that all of this kind of overlaps. Gender inequality, it's interlinked with gender injustice, favoritism, also gender diversity. So all of these things basically interlink with one another. But I think the most important one here is the inequality and almost the injustice as well as the gender gap. There's a huge gender gap as well. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And finally, Professor Dorcas, which one is it for you?
All of it.
All of it.
And good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I think this topic is so important that I don't see anything here that is not part of it. You can take the issue from the gap, the equality issues, gender injustice. So I think this is one that if you ask all our colleagues, as you've heard, everyone will agree that they are linked and they all contribute in the end to the gender dimensions of what we are talking about, whether we put it in research or in any other context.
All right. Okay. I just want to mute. I will come back. I will mute everyone because I see some audience unmuted. So those who are speaking, I will ask you to unmute now so that it's only you I can hear. All right. Okay. Now, let me go back to my slide again. Okay, let me go around again. I'll start with you, Professor Obiri-Yeboah. Which one is it here again?
So let me see, equal pay, equal career rewards, equal promotion, role exchange, equal opportunities. Again, it is all of it. Depending on where you work, the context of the political economic system and all of that around employment, one or the other may be an issue for you specifically than in another country or another context in Africa. But at the end of it, it all comes back to talking about equal opportunities. So you may be in a setting, for example, in Ghana, if you are, your level determines your pay. So whether you're a male or female, the salary doesn't change. The amount you receive will be the same at that level. But of course, does that mean that the opportunities are equal?
Well,
that is a different discussion.
Just keep it. I know you're on the speed lane now. Just I will come back. Okay, let me go to Dr. Karen Cloete. Which one is it here?
I think everyone is important here, but it also depends very much on your institution, your country, your setting. But everyone here is very important. Thank you.
All right. Yes, Prof. Ogu.
Which one is it?
Yes.
Equal opportunities, equal pay. It's not equal, really. There is disparity between gender. And for Africa to succeed, we must overcome these disparities. When you look at pay,
Prof, don't go into detail. No, just tell me which one is here. I will come back. I know I told you, that's why I muted the audience so that people will not join. Okay, so everything here is for you.
Everything here is it.
That's right. Okay, let me just mention the audience. You can also contribute if it's everything for you. If there is a highlight, an area, just use the chat box to indicate. All right, let me go finally to Dr. Bannerman. Which one is it?
Yes, I agree with my colleagues that all of them are important. I will particularly highlight equal pay because your pay determines the level you are within an organization and also how you are assessed in promotion and the opportunities and how you are valued in the organization.
All right. Okay. We are all Africans. So I will ask the question, and the question I will ask, let me stop my screen. I want you to answer yes or no. Don't go into detail because I'm taking you step by step. Okay? Don't be in a hurry. We have almost 2 hours. All right. So my first question here is, does Africa have gender issues in science and science productivity? Dr. Bannerman.
Yes.
All right. Professor Obiri-Yeboah.
Absolutely yes.
Absolutely yes. Okay. Dr. Karen Cloete.
Definitely yes.
Definitely yes. And finally, Professor Ogu.
Absolutely yes.
Okay. Now let me go back to my slide. So what is the problem really? How does it manifest? What are indicators that we use to see this issue you say is a problem in science and science productivity. Let me start with you, Professor Ogu. So we start getting into some aspects.
All right. So when you look at science and the ability to contribute, let me come from my perspective as a women's advocate, as an obstetrician gynecologist. We look after women. Women need to be healthy in order to be able to produce, in order to be able to do things. If you're not healthy, you cannot deliver. If you're not healthy, you can't do research. You can't be part of research. If you're not healthy, you cannot be in this conference listening. If you're not healthy, you can't be part of teams. You can't collaborate to say you want to do research. Now, access to health is definitely different for gender. The woman is in hospital to receive care and is unable to receive care because she says she hasn't been given the permission to receive care. She's at home, she needs to be in hospital, but she doesn't leave her house because she says, oh, he has not allowed me to go to the hospital. He hasn't given me the money to pay for services that I would receive in the hospital. Even when she's able to pay, some women will still not access service because he hasn't given them the opportunity, the permission to do so. So you find that disparity even among women who are learned, even among well-educated women. They come and tell you, doctor, let me discuss with my husband first. Let me tell my husband first. You never find that with the men. Yes, I'm an obstetrician, I look after women, but sometimes in infertility, we have male clients who come in and we talk with them. Never have I heard a man say, oh, let me go and tell my wife first. So you can see that there is disparity among gender for accessing healthcare. And so if your health is not optimum, how can you even start talking about research?
All right, okay. Prof is looking at it from the aspect of the health, importance of health. All right, Professor Obiri-Yeboah, what is the problem?
So it has many faces. I will take one face. So if we look at it from the point of education, opportunity for higher education, you will notice that, yes, over the recent years, the number of women, females that are able to start at the first degree level in science and research related fields is improving. That is not bad. Just go beyond that first degree and begin to compare the numbers again, and you see that the females drop out of it. And so if we are looking at this in the context of research and its related productivity, the women do not even get to that level where research and its related activities become part of their career path and they give it a focus. So the number dwindles at that point. So opportunity for higher education, learning beyond the first degree level is one issue that is causing what we see as inequalities as far as productivity in research for related to gender is concerned. So that is one area that we will need to tackle.
All right, that is a very fantastic area. I want to dig deeper with you. I didn't want to do this, but you have raised an important issue. So what you have mentioned now is the problem, the women's problem, not wanting to do it, or is it a systems problem, or what is the problem that they don't go far where at least they begin to have productivity in research?
Thank you. So there is one publication I just saw this morning that I felt really touched on the issue in a way that is very interesting. Of course, it takes that question from the institutional related factors, individual related factors, and then research capacity related factors. So, for example, if you ask, is it the woman's problem? No, it is not the woman who does not want to necessarily proceed to do a master's or a PhD. But don't forget that when that woman finished the first degree, the societal expectation is that she should get married, she should have children. And so immediately there is some different priority given to her. That would mean that she has to take effort to concentrate on that, so to speak. So in that paper, when it talked about the individual factors, it highlights the societal rules clearly as one aspect why these women may not, or even if they will, there will be a gap. And you just have to take the classes we all went to and the males we were with. And in terms of a few years down the line, who had done some specialist training and when did the women begin to catch up is a fact. So that aspect is there. The institutional level aspect relates to the fact that if that woman, like I did, wanted to have a child and at the same time do their masters, does the institution have facilities and things in place that make that possible? I was fortunate to be able to do that in a setting that had things that would support me to carry a baby and still be able to do that.
It's okay. I will come back to your story. I want to dig deeper into that, but you have raised a fantastic issue. I think we'll come back to some of these things, and I would also like to touch later on the woman's aspect. We have the societal expectations, but you mentioned individual contribution. All right, let me come to you, Dr. Cloete. What is the problem for you?
So thank you for that very important question. So there's many different factors that contribute to women producing less in science. If you look, as our colleagues already mentioned, if you look at the social and kind of cultural environment, the home environment, women are expected to cook, be at home, take care of the family. And then if you move into your institutional environment, you have biases, you have obviously discrimination, and you have a negative attitude towards women in STEM. Some women may even have a type of imposter syndrome that I don't really fit here because this is a man's world. So these can all affect productivity. Also low self-esteem. Then also other factors might include, as I already mentioned, women they have a lot of family responsibilities. They have to cook, they have to take care of children. Sometimes in the workplace, women are even perceived as less competitive. Qualifications of women are also sometimes compared to men. There's a lack of commitment because one is tired, you have all of these other responsibilities to take care of. And then there's also this kind of guilt. I know some of my friends, when they have children, they feel this guilt because they feel they cannot commit to their science, they cannot publish, it's difficult to travel, they have fewer collaborations that lead to publications and stuff. Also, men are, it also depends on the type of setting. Sometimes it can be favored in the workplace. Opportunities also, there need to be more opportunities for women, and also very important, flexible working conditions so that women can dedicate, time to the family life and also their career. So there's many different factors also. Working conditions plays a role. Sometimes a certain position can be challenging for a woman, juggling all of these different hats a woman must wear. Often they feel they often need to prove themselves. Sometimes the work environment is very stressful, and this leads to health issues, like our colleague already mentioned. That when you are sick, it's difficult to deliver. And the science environment, a lot of pressure, you have to publish, you have to travel, you have to do a lot of things. So women in general deal with many more obstacles than men. Also, a lot of different things. Work environment, cultural,
Thank you. I'll come back to more details. All right, finally to you, Dr. Bannerman, what is it for you?
Yes, thank you again for this opportunity. I will continue from what my colleagues have mentioned in terms of the access to education. And yes, from the first degree, yes, there's a problem in continuing and maintaining that path, but the girl child, as immediately the girl child is born, and you want to start your education journey from as little as a child, you begin to face problems. There are barriers from the onset. I remember particularly when my family had to move country at one point, and I ended up in a school where there was no secondary school, where there was no further maths at all, because it was a girls' school. And I I was very zealous in the way I approach my academics, and I had finished my maths curriculum for GCSE O-level, and I was so cross with the maths teacher. And I said, I want more maths. What else do you have to teach me? And I caused a lot of problems for him because I have finished the syllabus and everything. And so I was really cross at the age of 15, 16. I was very cross. And I'm giving it as a personal experience because I see that my teenage brain knew that I would need it in my adult years. Today, I design algorithms and I have to get mathematicians involved, which if I had had that foundation, it wouldn't have happened today. So the barriers happen from the onset for the girl child, and that's access to education. So the income, education, place of residence, they all play a part. And then when you come to work-life balance, that's another area. At the workplace, women have to give up a lot of the time past opportunities. I know, you would say, oh, I am in a, well, good place, so to speak, now, but I know how many opportunities I gave up over and over and over again. And there are many women out there who do the same thing. We cannot just up and leave most of the time, especially with family, but men are able to do that more easily than women. Having said that, I will say very big, give very big kudos to men out there. Some men have done this. I know when I was growing up, my father did it several times as well, because I grew up with a single dad. So, but women, generally, women are doing this over and over again, and that's really places a restriction on on their growth and the career journey. Yeah. So I will round up there.
All right. Thank you. Okay. When I was setting up this panel discussion, and for the audience, all our panelists are friends of the house. They have been supporting SFI in many ways. So this is not their first time coming if you have been following us for long. So we really appreciate every time we call on them, they come because they believe in what we are doing. So as I was setting it up, I reached out to you because you have experiences you can share. And then somebody wrote me and said, the panelists, why only women? Is that not the evidence of what we are talking about? Let me start with you, Dr. Bannerman. When you saw only women on the panelists, we're talking about gender issues. How did you feel?
I was happy.
Okay.
I was happy because our voices needed to be heard. It's almost like talking about race, okay, and the issues the Black people are facing, and you need to have the Black people represented in the discussion very well. And the same way, we're talking about gender issues. The main area, the gaps we have, are affecting women more.
All right. Okay. Dr. Cloete, how did you feel seeing only women facing the panel?
Well, I'm happy to have all women, but I think many of the issues women are facing, the current criteria or policies or whatever you might call them to address the challenges women are experiencing are mostly aligned with the female view. But to change actually behavior and because ideally in institutional setting, if you want to change a policy and behaviors towards women, one needs to change the perception, the thinking. And for that, men need to understand the woman's perspective. So women need to tell more their stories, the challenges they face, so that men can listen and understand that. As I said, I'm happy there's all women, but for me, gender equality between men and women is very important. The man, if he understands the challenges the woman experience, they can also help support. But sometimes there's a lack of understanding of that, because there's sometimes cultural barriers. Over centuries, women have been expected to do a certain kind of job in the house. But if there's more conversation, more understanding. Thank you.
So you are happy. Okay, men, Dr. Karen is encouraging you, sit down and listen. Because I've seen a man writing, does gender issues only affect women? Well, our panelists, I'll pose that question to them at the right time, but today they want you to sit and listen, the women's perspective. All right, to you, Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah, how did you feel seeing only the faces of women on this panel?
Yeah, so exactly what was just said. I felt that we needed to highlight the reality. So I don't think there is anyone here who would want to pretend that when we talk about these gender issues and the impact on research productivity, women are not the ones mainly affected. I think everybody has that basic knowledge. That is what I assume by the time we are at this level to attend this. So what I expect is that what would help a man in whatever capacity, as a husband, as a brother, as an institutional head, to really tackle or help to tackle this. To do that, he needs to really appreciate the issue. So I was very happy that it is the women. It is not a debate we are having. It is going into the realities. And hopefully, when they really listen, they can think through their home, their family, their institution, and say, what can I do for my women?
Great. And finally, Prof. Ogu, how did you feel?
Yes, when I saw the all-female panel, I felt a bit uneasy because we're talking gender parity. Whatever you do for the woman, do for the man also. We're also talking about bringing up our boys to know how to behave. But when I looked at the topic, I didn't see the relevance of having a male in the panel because we're talking about gender inequality, gender equality, and we are sharing experiences, what we have seen, what we observe every day. There is no man who would be on this panel and give that kind of experience. He hasn't seen it, he doesn't understand it. He doesn't know it. So having a man on this panel would have been an aberration. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, men, it means that I didn't make a mistake in the first place. That is settled. So, all right, so kudos to me. Now we have looked at, we are focused on Africa, but some of the things you pointed out, I want to come back to you, Professor Obiri-Yeboah. Is this an African problem or is it a global problem?
Thank you very much. So the problem is global and worse in Africa. So if you look at all publications talking about research productivity globally, you will be told that for the past, from 2010 to now, research papers, articles globally have increased. One article puts it from 2.31% in 2010 to 3.24% by 2016 and increasing. And it said even increasing, but marginally across Africa. This is putting it all together without a gender lens per se. So there is generally an issue of less productivity in Africa. And then once you give it the gender dimension, you begin to see the problem that the female contribution is far, far less across all these continents, but of course worse when you take it in Africa. Just to give you one statistic, one paper mentioned the fact that even if you look at just numbers of researchers, if you look at it by 2018 from UNESCO statistics, we had 1,000 researchers per million population in comparing Europe and US, North America. If you look at the same 1,000 per million population in Africa, but 2,000 researchers per million population when you look at Europe and the North America. So even the numbers of the researchers already, Africa has a problem there. So in summary, it's a global issue productivity-wise, and it is worse when you talk about Africa, and when you give it a genderless, the issue is more complex in Africa.
Dr. Bannerman. Need to unmute. So is it Africa or is it a global issue?
Yeah, again, I agree with my colleague. It is a global issue. And thank you, Professor Dorcas, for going ahead to highlight the UNESCO statistics. So I'll go straight to further on that. It is a global problem, but in Africa, there are unique, we're facing a unique scenario here. We have a diverse culture, and also our history legacy is also diverse. The experiences we have are unique to each region and country. And so we have a lot more intricate problem to disentangle. And it comes from us having visionary leaders who will be able to dissect these issues accordingly. Recently, I have been investigating areas where within our African communities that were predominantly matriarchal societies that have been forced to evolve into patriarchal societies. And these have been due to external influences like political and religious. And these have had immense effects on the development of our nations. And there are lingering issues which many people don't know what to do about them. At the moment, we have very surface level. There are all over the world, like we all agree that it's a global problem. And so all over the world, there are institutions that are putting things in place to ensure that we have gender parity, as well as in Africa, there are also different kinds of initiatives are being put forward.
Okay, I will come back to some of those initiatives. Yeah, but yeah, it's good. You agree it's a global problem, but with African peculiarities. All right. Okay. Dr. Karen Cloete, what is your response? Is it a global problem or is it an African problem?
I would agree with my colleagues that it is a global problem, but I think on the African continent, it is much, much worse. There's a huge underrepresentation of women in science. There's also a lack of appropriate empowerment programs. So there's a lot of different factors affecting women in science. Sometimes, yeah, so a lot of different things. And I think what is also important is a lack of women in leadership positions. This is very important. More women needs to be placed in leadership positions. So I think, yeah, it's a global problem, but in Africa, it is far worse. But also it depends on your specific country, your cultural setup. And even within that, there's a lot of other factors also that may influence this, such as religion, as one of my colleagues already mentioned. So it really depends on where you are based. In general, it is a big problem. It's
all
a
right.
big challenge.
Finally, I go to Prof. Ogu. The same question. Is it a global problem? Is it an African problem?
It's a global problem, but I think it's worse in Africa. If you do a literature search, you would find opportunities for overcoming gender disparities in different countries, but you would not find examples within African countries. You won't have much examples. So it's a global problem, but it's worse in Africa.
All right. Now, we have situated it that, of course, oh, it's a global, I mean, we are discussing African problem, but you have given it a global picture. If I come to you again, Prof. Ogu, we have the common saying, nature versus nurture. So if it's a global problem, is it natural? Is it the way it should be? Is it the way human life should go, that women are always disadvantaged? Or is it what we have made for ourselves? I mean, looking at it from the scientific perspective, is it nature? Is it the way nature works? Or is it the way we have constructed our lives? Prof. Ogu.
I don't think it's nature, in the sense that, yes, the male and female gender are different. There's no doubt about that. And so nature has provided that each one is different. But in the way we've been nurtured wrongly. That's the way I want to put it. We've been nurtured that the man takes the decision. We've been nurtured that the best job opportunities are for males. We've been nurtured that all the big top positions are for men. The woman should not be seen. She should not speak. She should be behind doors and so on. So we've grown up with that. Even amongst us, we treat our girl children differently from the boy children. You know, you train the child up. You don't have enough money. You send the boys to school, and you tell the girls, okay, no need, stay at home and cook and be wise. And so that nurture is where the problem has come, and it's been long-standing. So it's going to be something that needs to be changed, maybe with legislation. So you see that in places like Sweden, they are talking about parental leave for men. So men can understand that, yes, when your wife has a baby, you can take leave, stay at home and take care of the baby. The care of the baby is not for the woman alone. In the same vein, you can see the policies in Rwanda, where they are now talking about legislation and how many % of legislation should go to women. And so for now, you have Rwanda as one of the countries where you have more women in parliament. It is deliberately done. So it's not nature doing it. It's the way we've nurtured ourselves.
All right. Prof, you mentioned Sweden and where I'm based, and then you have activated something in me, because I actually, as a man, need emancipation in this part of the world. But that is another talk for another time. Let's go to Professor Obiri-Yeboah. Is it nature? Is it nurture?
It is both. So I don't know any man who have to write exams because whilst having serious lower abdominal cramps because the menses started that day. So there are some of the issues that by being female, it is quite unique to us. So some of them is biological, and that impact us in certain ways that may affect our productivity. So that aspect cannot be overlooked. But then the question is, knowing that, keeping that in mind, how does institutions, how does the system, the society support that person who has to still play those roles and yet still expected to work in the same environment and be measured the same way sort of towards promotion? So there are those parts that are biological issues that affect specifically women, and then they have their impact being translated into institutional context when there is no arrangement to recognize and give some support for that. So there's this 2021 paper in Nature, is a report by Kendall Powell. I think everybody should read it. Very interesting. He said how mothers are penalized in the scientific race. How mothers are penalized in the scientific race. And that is very objective. Yes, the woman gets pregnant, gives birth, that is a fact. But when that happens, what is done to make sure that doesn't become a crime in your workplace to stop you from progressing or get you stuck? except that in the women and men that were part of this report, the men had more children in terms of numbers than the female researchers. But the men didn't say it impacts their life, because though they had the children, their wives were the ones bearing the burden of taking care of the children. So they could afford to have more children and still progress quickly and rise up. So it is both, to sum it up.
Yeah, that is a fantastic point. We'll come back to some of those specific you mentioned, but we'll come to solutions. So for Prof, Obiri-Yeboah is both nature and nurture. All right, I come to you, Dr. Karen Cloete.
So I also agree with the colleagues. I think it's both, but it already starts at this perception that a woman should not pursue science. It already starts in school. So it's interesting when you ask children, especially young girls, to draw what is scientist, they will always draw a male person in a white lab coat, normally an more elderly male doing experiments. So this kind of thinking is already embedded, that a girl should not study science. Then further, also when they look around them, there's a lack of role models for them. This is very important. If you have a role model, you aspire one day to become like them. Also, there's a lack of outreach. Schools don't reach out. In some areas, there's no outreach to museums, no exposure to what is science all about. So you have all of these different factors contributing to this, and also casting females into more supportive roles due to socio-cultural norms. So the cultural aspect here is also important. A girl child is there to take care of the family and cook and have children. So you have already this cultural setting, and then again from the very early age already, they are discouraged from going into science. They can pursue arts or biology or this kind of thing. But so where the education should start is already at the school level. This is very important, and more role models. There should be more role models. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, finally, Dr. Bannerman.
Yes.
Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues that it's both, but I will tend more towards the nurturing, because what we are doing right now to support the girl child, seeing that the inequality and the gap is so wide is very important. And we need to put in strategies in place to address that. Right from, if you look at the education pathway, so many changes need to be made. And when you look at in the workplace, there's discrimination with women, and also the social norms, as my colleagues have said.
Now, let me come back to you, just stay there. So the pendulum is tilting towards nurture as the main things. So what are the causes? Is it from our environment? Is it our government? Is it how our institutions are set up? You have mentioned some aspect of culture, but let's be more specific. What are really the causes of this inequality? Because in my slide I showed before, I had issues of salary, promotion inequalities, occupying key positions, opportunities, career opportunities. So what are the causes of these things?
I would say they are deep-rooted, and it's deep-rooted, so it's the different regions, like I said, since we started off from global to the African settings. So they are deep-rooted systems which have been put in place over the years. And the human mind, the way the human mind works, is that when something, you give a model You give a particular model, and the human mind just conditions itself, adapts itself to that model. And that goes on generation over generation. So what kind of leaders have we had to institute some models that have gone on over the years in terms of our education settings that have caused this to happen? And also when you look at the workplace discrimination, in every aspect, it boils down to a lot of the time to the leadership structures that we've had over the years and how changes can be made to affect them. That's what I would say. Another thing which, when we come to the African setting, I always look at as very unique because of our different cultural and historical system. And I still go back onto leadership and the conditioning that have happened over the years, and the fact that these things need to be changed. We need to be aware of them. We need to be aware of them, and we need to, just like you're doing in this forum, to bring people to talk about them and then make changes where we need to make changes. This is very important most of the time. And then these changes need to happen even from our own individual spaces at home and at work. Most of the time, if you ask yourself, the woman has no voice, and that should change. A lot of the times you're told to shut up. Not to your face, but in body language in different ways. And then you bring initiatives to the table, which are important for maybe for the development of a particular program or even in our scientific work. And people are always, and usually the men are always very quick to grab that initiative and run with it and then tell you to shut up. And then they've taken that further the way they want. So our voices should be heard.
Okay. So you said they are very rooted issues. And now we are fighting it. Okay. I will come back to that, how much we can succeed. But the audience, are you enjoying the discussion? Is the audience enjoying the discussion? Just give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying the discussion. Let me have your thumbs up because you are so quiet. I see comment 27 from many minutes ago. Is it that we have captured your attention or what? I need more comments, and then I need thumbs up. If you're enjoying it, please. I think Dr. Oladejo has given you a hashtag. Please post it to your social media platforms and tell them join the conversation, because these are important things happening. All right. Yeah, I think I wanted to show one slide before. Okay, this slide I wanted. Yeah. All right. Who is a culprit? Who is a victim? We have identified the victim. So the culprit is who we are talking about now. Dr. Karen, what is the cause? Who is a culprit here?
So I think the woman is generally suffers more, but if the female also changes their attitude, that could also be very, very important, because if you can, it comes from both ways. You can be, you can suffer because of this, but you can also change your mindset and be determined and fight against this and raise these concerns. I think the concerns should be raised and addressed. I mean, this kind of discrimination against women, it starts at already so many different levels, at the home, in the school, in the church, in the institution. So if women can start standing up and fighting for their place in society, standing up, being more determined, being more proud of themselves, I think that can also change. Instead of being a victim, decide to become victorious almost. Thank you.
Professor Ogu, what are the causes? It's very interesting and really nice to see that most of you are involved in activities to raise awareness of the condition of the girl child and support women's opportunities. I'm really impressed by that. Professor Ogu, what are the causes for you?
The causes are multifaceted. Yes, we can say it's the males that are the perpetrators and women are the victims, but it's a lot more than that. Aside from biology, you're looking at that patriarchal system, those social structures that prioritize male authority and dominance. And so everything just goes on from there. It becomes norm. Wrong attitudes and beliefs become the norm and just continues from generation to generation. But we can break it by having conversations around it, by letting people know that gender parity is the way to go. We can break the causes.
All right. Okay. Prof. Obiri-Yeboah, are you still there? I don't see you.
I am here.
You are here, okay. Yeah, please. What are the causes?
So, what are the causes? Anyway, again, I'll take it from this paper by Heidi Prosiski, if I got the name right, a gender perspective on career challenges experienced by African scientists. 5,000 African scientists from 30 countries with a survey published in 2019. So 5,000 African scientists, male and female, to identify or try to answer this question: what is affecting our productivity? What is the role of gender in that? And when asked men in terms of what affects their productivity, what is affecting them in terms of their research output, the focus was on lack of research fundings, number one. Number two, lack of funding for research equipment. So money, give us money, we can do it. Females, number one, balancing work and family demands. Number two, second highest, then the research funding. So you can see, so what is the problem women want handled? Balancing work and family demands, because the work is not making any room for you. It's not acknowledging the family demands and its impact. So somehow you are struggling with having to deal with both. So I bring it back to just that institutional recognition that this is a fact. It is not an issue of women just want to be complaining, women want to be pampered so that we can produce. No, we are very capable. So the issue is make the environment, tackle the issues that will give us some space, and we can then do the same as the men. And interestingly, in that paper, it says it is rather men that complain more about work environment negatively affecting them. Somehow the women don't even want to complain when they felt it's a good thing. But my interpretation is females don't even feel like you should say it too much, because they will say, as for you women, always excuses as to why you are not producing. So actually, in their survey, the women didn't want to complain. So what is the cause? It's more institutional. The biological factors you cannot help us with. Please, let's tackle the institutional issues, and women will come out with the same issue. The institutional issues also relate to the next parameter this article looked at, was age. So a woman's age in the beginning, early career, younger chronological age, the issues are different. When it classifies some of us as older female scientists, the issues are also different. We just need to recognize and tackle the institutional issues peculiar to these different groups. That is the cause of the issue, really.
Okay, that is really fantastic. And then I think we can look at the institutional issues now. Then I will come back to the women, because women, I'll come back to you. All right, so the institutional issues you mentioned. So can we start with some examples? from you, Professor Obiri-Yeboah. What are some of the institutional issues?
Okay, so like the other paper alluded to about how female parents are penalized. The question is, if why sampled for those of us in this particular session, which of your institutions have arrangements where if you have a baby, you are a breastfeeding mother, you can bring that baby close to you at work in a setting that would allow you to still have some peace of mind to work and at the same time take care of that responsibility of checking on the baby and dealing with what needs to be done? How many institutions have that for an early career woman? What is the policy around maternity leave? How many months are we given in most countries? And immediately you ask for more, would your job be threatened? Do you have a PhD student who got pregnant? Did that student have to sort of go off school and take time off and then come back and join a year later when her colleagues have gone ahead? Was that really necessary? What is the institutional policy that led to that? For the older scientists, researchers, the issues then come back to your administrative roles that if you are fortunate enough to get there, when you are in that place, your children are relatively older, but they also have their demand on you. What are the policies around childcare generally, family roles, time expected at work, working from home? Does your boss scream because he doesn't see you physically, no matter how much you turn everything asked of you in? And yet he said, I didn't see you physically per se, and so he's complaining. And because of that, you cannot work from home, even if the setting should have been possible for you to do that. These are some of the institutional issues that I am talking about tackling. And once that is done, many women will find their way around our own issues and make use of it and produce.
All right, Dr. Karen Cloete.
So
there
there
are institutional issues, yeah, you have observed. So let's take it in that direction.
So again, this depends very much on your location, but lack of opportunities in general for women, lack of funding, lack of mentorship, lack of role models, lack of flexible working conditions, difficulty finding that work-life balance, difficulty also for some women in securing positions in the same geographical area as their partners. Lack of financial support, also sometimes inadequate institutional capacity to support women, a lot of gender discrimination, promotions based on gender, the pay, also another important factor. I remember I was reading a career feature in Nature, and this one lady mentioned she was even afraid to mention that she has 3 children, because she was too afraid that if she mentioned this, they will not hire her. The work complex, the work schedule may also be too long, complex, so work flexibility should be allowed, working from home perhaps. So many different institutional factors play a role. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Bannerman, do you have additional institutional issues?
I think standing from where I am right now, the institutions here have put, quite a number of them have put these initiatives in place. So you can have daycare within the institution so that mothers can immediately have access to such, and very close by you know, just at the vicinity where you are working. It's embedded as something within the institution. So it does help. And I remember someone saying, this was when I was at the Sankar Institute, that a lot of women like coming to this organization because they know that their needs are met when it comes to supporting us in this area of motherhood. So if we have more institutions doing that, of course, it's going to really help. And my colleague also mentioned remote working and flexible patterns. I'm not sure how much these are reflected in our African society these days. These are things that I mean, leadership, institutional leadership, can put into perspective. That will be great. Yeah.
All right. Finally, Prof. Ogu.
Yeah, so institutional policies that perpetuate gender disparity include the criteria used for promotion, for instance, the criteria used for appointment into senior positions. Let me give an example with what happened recently in Nigeria. Chief medical directors of teaching hospitals were named recently. Of the total number named, only 11% were women. The rest were men. And so you look at the structure of each institution, the top structure is all male. And males don't think like women. The things that affect the female gender is not something the male understands, except he's been part of a discussion like this, where the problems are highlighted, where the challenges are highlighted. If not, the male does not even understand what you're saying. All he knows is, you didn't come to work for 3 days. I don't care if you had dysmenorrhea. Oh, you took off for 3 months. You had maternity leave. I don't like women. They always take maternity leave. And there are some institutions where they will not hire you if you're pregnant, or they will put a clause that if you're going to be pregnant in the next 1 year, you shouldn't apply. So these kind of policies continually disenfranchise females. And these are things that we need to talk about so we can overcome them. If you can't get into an institution, you cannot do research. Thank you.
All right. Well, ASFY, I think we are proud to make an example, and we'll continue. So, well, let's see that we have resources. You can join us if they give you trouble elsewhere, colleagues. All right. Yeah. In practical terms, I think we can delve a little bit more on some of the things you have mentioned, Professor Obiri-Yeboah. You mentioned the biological processes that really affect women, pregnancy, if the woman has, I mean, even women who have reached their menopause can have, it can affect their output. Girls, my daughter has a period, I think 2 weeks ago, and it came on the same day she was to write an exam. Okay, exam, she had an exam to write. And she woke up in the morning, Daddy, I can't go to school because I have my menstrual cramps. So there's a system. I go to the website where you can mark absence, and actually you don't need to give reasons for that, because the child has the right even to be absent in the first place, as far as it is the parents that make that request. So she didn't go to school, and the exam had to be rescheduled for her alone. Sometimes she had gone to the school, and then the menstrual cramp starts there, and the teacher will call me. She needs to come home now. She can continue with the lesson, or schedule the exam next time for her to write, or the class since she ended the class before we ended, she can come to me later on so that I can guide her through. Women who are pregnant, the system has an opportunity to allow them to go through the natural process without it affecting losing their job or whatever. So this system has taken account of that. And sometimes you want to make career progression, and many, I would say, I mean, it's a policy nowadays. If you apply for position, competitive position, they will always ask if you're a woman, if you finish your PhD certain time, what has happened. If you have had maternity leave, it needs to be documented because they call it career gap. So once you have career gap, you document that. If it's related to these natural processes, then you have no problem, okay? But the problem comes when a woman doesn't have any of these things, and then you can't explain your career gap. Then it's a signal that, where can we employ this person really? If this person finished its time, has not produced, and did not have pregnancy or was not sick, what you know. So some of these things are obtainable in some societies. Is it possible to do in Africa?
Why not? Why not? And that is why we are having these discussions. Many of the people in leadership roles in institutions in Africa, from the senior high, junior high to the higher education level, have the exposure to the developed world. They know what you just spoke about. Last week, my daughter's own came on the worst day possible. Physics, the subject she doesn't like so far, that is her worst. And on that day of the exams for physics, I had to just tap her on the back, encourage her, give her pen control, and say, go and do what you can. That is all I could do. If she didn't write, she would be in trouble. So she went. I have worked with a male as a house officer, female, pregnant. I have had a boss in a situation where early stage of pregnancy, I have to pretend that I am good. There is nothing, and climb up and down the stairs and do all I can so that he does not keep every day complaining about why this is why he doesn't like working with females. And then I lost that pregnancy. And I learned my lesson. Okay. But has that changed decades down the line from my experience? I don't think so. So is it possible? Why not? Why not? Now, when you talk about the senior, so-called now senior researchers, you want to apply for everything that you think could still build your capacity to improve your research output. The age limit puts you in a situation you can't apply anymore. That age limit doesn't recognize these biological gaps. You were not sleeping. You didn't decide to go and sleep for 2 years. But suddenly your age means you don't qualify to apply. It is not even giving you the opportunity to apply and then explain a gap. So you just look at it and you pass it on to a male, or you pass it on to a junior mentor and say, you know what, do whatever you can to take it now, because if you don't, you will get to my age very soon. Why can't this change? Can anybody explain this to me, why this cannot change, that we recognize what needs to be recognized, then putting just a measure, allow every woman to apply into a certain level of degree of age based on what the research fund or opportunity is about, the chance to explain whatever you consider a gap. Why is that impossible?
Okay. Prof. Ogu, can we get it right? Can we fight it? Is it possible to implement these things in Africa?
Yes, it is. It's possible to implement, and we can change the narrative. Everything is, the basic thing is, let people have the information, let people know. You have females who rely on their gender to not do things like an excuse. All right, so showcasing mentors, female achievers, it's one way where we can overcome this. It's doable. National president, head of department, mother, husband, lover, friend, sister, and still doing everything. So it's possible for women to take up positions and make their input. I know there's something we currently do in Nigeria. I'll give an example again with Nigeria. And in some other parts of the world where you say affirmative action, ensure that you include women in positions. And I keep saying, I say, yes, we want to include women in positions, but don't look at it as you're including women because you just want to include them. No, there are women who are very qualified, who should be in those positions, but who never get the opportunities. So let's showcase women leaders. Let's showcase women achievers. So other women know that it's achievable, it's doable, regardless of menstrual cramps, regardless of pregnancies, regardless of household duties. We can do it. Thank you.
All right. And I think Dr. Karen and Dr. Bannerman, you all agree that it's possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to take it random, but I want to start with you, Dr. Bannerman. If it's possible, all of you are at the top of your institutions. What are you doing? Do you bring these discussions to the table? Dr. Bannerman, let me start with you.
Yes.
How are you fighting this?
I am always looking for it. I take every opportunity I get to fight it. In the UK, a member of the Cambridge Association of Women in Science and Engineering. And so we have regular meetings and we go to schools and with the awareness campaigns and everything to encourage and support. And then locally, I help to support the development of women initiatives. Done that in Sierra Leone, done that in Guinea-Bissau, done that in working with some teams in Zimbabwe. And so one thing which I'm happy about is that a lot of some of our African countries, I saw on the chat, someone mentioned that there are institutions in Africa that are already embracing baby-friendly workplace initiatives, which is good. And I see that a lot of, there is now appointments of women in leadership roles, either in a ministry or as vice chancellors or deputy vice chancellors. And personally, I take it as a personal as a duty for myself to stay close to these women who are in places in authority, so that we can continue to have that conversations on how we support the early career research or support women in general who are coming up. So every opportunity.
So you're fighting it.
Yes.
Okay, I'll come to you, Dr. Karen Cloete.
Yes.
No, I've not asked you my question. I'll ask you my question. I mean, the descriptions your colleagues have given now of women not getting the positions. If we focus in the area of research, is it that women do less quality work, or if they're given the opportunity, they are less productive, or why is it that, for instance, you have like Prof Ogu mentioned, you have selection of leaders and only 11%. Is it that women are not trusted? I mean, they can't. What is it about women? What is your problem from your own perspective? Have you found that perhaps may contribute to this problem?
I would like to raise one of our previous presidents. I think it was President Nelson Mandela. He mentioned that nothing is impossible until it is done. So I think sometimes it is difficult to, within an institutional setting, sometimes if you are in a negative environment, it is very difficult to grow. But women have a lot of potential. If you believe in yourself, if you grab all the opportunities out there, It's also important for you to believe in yourself, and very, very important, have female leaders that you look up to, that you aspire to be like one day, and allow them to mentor you. Mentoring is very important for an individual to grow. This is extremely important. And besides, I mean, at a personal level, we're also trying to encourage girls already at the school level to start becoming more interested in science. And we do reach out at schools. We publish stories of female scientists. Why did they get involved in science? What are the challenges they face? And there are many. I mean, it is very diverse, juggling work, life balance, also the age that we mentioned sometimes limits us to apply for certain funds because of age restrictions, etc. But there's a lot of things that need to change already at the school level, at the institutional level, adapt policies to financially support women, make a more enabling environment, more flexible work environment. It's good to have mentors, as I already mentioned, and then policies are also establishing and doing research on developing policies, more opportunities for women, to help them grow and develop their careers in the institutional sense, but also in the home environment. This also needs to be encouraged. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't know our time is running so far, so we have less than 30 minutes. So I will go towards conclusion, but so that we can give the audience time to react. But I want to come personal, because it took close to 20 minutes to read the profile of these women here, to read your profile. And here we are talking about marginalization, inequality, but all of you have reached the highest level. Prof. Obiri-Yeboah, I'll come to you first, because you're very young. You're a professor, you're a deputy director, you have made lots of publications at this age. How did you escape these issues? Because we have young women here who are also thinking, you're a mother, you're a wife, you are all this. How did you do this? At least people can learn from you. What was your strategy? What was your experience? Briefly tell us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And being young is a relative term. Now I don't qualify for many things by age anyway, but relatively younger.
You look young. You look young.
So what has it taken? It has taken a lot of resilience, stubbornness, as some would put it, the determination that, I had a plan, and it was a plan that I didn't really at that time have a strategy for, but at medical school, just thinking through my career path, I said I would be a professor by the time I'm 45. I don't know how I arrived at that age and all of that at that time, but I was just motivated to see a few females at that time, not even from Ghana, but who I had the opportunity to meet, and they have children and all of that. I said, oh, so it's possible. It's not the only thing that I'm seeing in my institution where all the professors are males and all of that. It has taken a lot of personal determination and support. And someone, I think, has been mentioned twice, the right mentorship. Finding people, whether male or female, and interestingly, all my mentors have been males. People who say they will not let you use any excuse. And so when they notice that moment when, for whatever reason, you are slowing down, they will kick you back up and say, you know what, deal with this and move on. And being ready to have the fact that some will say you are not a typical woman. And that is a term I've heard so many times, and I ask, what is a typical, who is a typical woman? So we need to just recognize we can do it. We need to surround ourselves with the people that can tell us every day that we can do it. And we should be able to apply the time, soft skills, time management, teamwork, collaborative approach. If we can build all of that within ourselves and be resilient, really, whether the institutions provide what is needed or not, you will find a way. Thank you.
All right. So you're for upcoming women in science, Prof. Obiri-Yeboah is saying that you need to be tough. What of the women who are not tough, like you?
They should find the people who would support them. That is where the other issues about teamwork, collaborative approach, working with the people that would make sure that they push you, that comes in. If you are naturally not that tough, they will toughen you up.
All right. Of course, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy.
Not at all.
So 3 things she mentioned here that are important that have helped her: resilience, finding right mentorship, and then face the criticism. Do it and face the criticism. I think once you get to that point, people will applaud you actually at the end. All right, I will come to Prof. Ogu. Your profile is also mind-blowing, given your age, the things. You became the second professor in your department, and today you are the national president of the National Women Association of Medicine, of medical doctors in Nigeria. You're a mother, you are a wife, and here you're saying women are marginalized. How did you, go through these things and become who you are today?
Thank you very much. It's been an interesting journey. I think I was lucky in that I had very good mentors. I had those who inspired me to want to grow. Let me put it that way. So the luck I had was from an early age, I had mentors. I had male and female mentors. I remember a professor telling me in 2009, when I was employed as a lecturer, saying that, look, promotion is every 3 years. This is what you need to get promoted. This is what you need to do. Ensure you document everything you do. Open your CV and start filling it in day by day. Any day you hire an activity, fill it in. You must write papers and publish. You must choose the correct journals to publish. You must collaborate. You must be disciplined. You do the work, you gain from it. Don't be shy of working. Hard work does not kill, things like that. And so we started. And I would like everyone in the audience to know this. Anything you do for yourself. Even when someone tells you, go and collect data for me, you're a junior person and the person is your senior and says, go and collect data. Please don't frown. Why should I be collecting data? Collect the data. In the process of collecting the data, in the process of carrying out an activity, you learn more, you gain more, you become more confident in yourself. You know how to do it. And so that is how I have progressed, by having an idea of where we are going and working towards it, being diligent and dedicated, being disciplined. Nobody is going to flog you if you don't do what you're supposed to do. It's you yourself that would know that, oh, I didn't do right. And so train yourself to be truthful to yourself. Nothing falls on your laps. Nothing comes, it just comes like that. No, nothing falls on your lap. And so for us at the Medical Women's Association, we are trying to ensure that people know this. And so that leadership training we talked about, Bright, if you remember 2 years ago when I was national president-elect, we're starting those leadership trainings now. So women know that these things, you can be intentional about it. You can be intentional about being a professor in 9 years after you become employed. You can be intentional about, oh, this year I want to write a systematic review. And so you work towards writing a systematic review, even if it's going to take you 9 months to do it. But if you sit down and keep wishing, oh, I want to do a systematic review, I want to do a systematic review, and you don't put pen up to paper, don't get your team together, you don't do a timeline to evaluate what you're doing, you will never write that systematic review.
All right. Thank you, Prof. And she has added other flavors. You need to be tough. I need to be disciplined. Sometimes, even as men or even as ordinary people, we can continue to blame so much what happens outside us. But really, what is inside is very important. I've been teaching a group science leadership this week, and I was emphasizing so much the personal leadership philosophy. You need to have your personal leadership philosophy. What is your vision? Who are you actually? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? You have to have a roadmap. If you don't have these things, you start in the next 10 years, you still telling the same story. You see, no system is perfect, even in this part of the world. As an African, I will come to that. As an African, I have my own issues here as well. But some of the issues they are talking about here, resilience, finding the right mentorship, basic criticism, discipline, be tough. They are templates that work regardless of your situation, and they can help you. All right, let me go to Dr. Bannerman, where you are today as an African woman, and now you're occupying a top position in the UK. How did you survive this as a woman?
Yes, thank you again. I would say this started off right from the vision I have as a child. And also I had a wonderful father. I had a wonderful father who was my role model and who always pushed us towards working hard. And he always quoted a passage to us. When you work hard, when you are diligent, you will stand before kings. So that scripture, that's always in the back of my mind. And then you work hard. And of course, I mentioned earlier, there are so many challenges on one's path that you have to navigate and as go along. And you don't have to, get discouraged easily. My colleague has said, you develop that resilience to continue, you just keep at it. And then when you notice your strengths, you begin to work on your strengths and develop your strengths further. Something which I also did, in addition to working on my strengths, when I see where I know I am, really good at, to start my personal development plan and set professional goals for myself. And as I did that, I built a personal network, have a personal network with people, personal support network, people who, see you and they believe in your vision. And usually it's not hard to find that. You find that as you go along, when you are working in your strength, you will see people who would just wow, this is great, who are encouraging you. And, take advantage of that and build that personal network. In addition to your personal support network, I also build a professional support network. I looked at people who are ahead and say, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And this person is there. And you know what? At a time in the UK, as I was working on doing my studies, I took part-time jobs. And my part-time jobs were this is something, my dad taught me how to be a personal assistant or a secretary. And I did it intentionally with men who were at the top of their career. So that took me straight up to work with top pharmaceutical companies and getting insights that I ordinarily wouldn't have done on my own. You are not alone in your journey. Identify the right people for yourself. And that is what, and then develop these qualities: hardworking, being diligent, being resilient along the way. Definitely the challenges will always be there. I said I gave up so many opportunities along the way, but just keep strong, keep at it, and you'll just continue. Thank you. You're muted.
All right. All right. Sorry, I was muted. I wanted to listen to all you. So it's that biblical text that said, "Have you seen a man diligent in his work? He will not stand before men, he will stand before kings." I think that is powerful. That is powerful. So in addition to that, Dr. Bannerman has mentioned the importance of networking. That is what SFI provides. And that's actually, as you were speaking, it was ringing in my mind going forward. And this goes to Dr. Eunice, who is the president of General Assembly. Perhaps we should, in the coming year membership round, to find a group we'll call SFI Women in Science. I think that would be fantastic, isn't it? I mean, if you like that, you can just raise a thumbs up, SFI members who are here, to have SFI Women in Science. And their overarching goal will be to have forums like this to discuss how can we support ourselves to grow in our career. All right, and finally, let me come to Dr. Karen Cloete. How did you make it?
So thank you very much. So I think the journey in science, it's a tough one. There will be challenges, but you have to remember that these challenges are to grow you as an individual. You learn from them. This is not for you to say, okay, this is enough, I don't want to do science anymore. This is to grow you as a person. Very important. I am here today because of the people, my family, my parents, my brother, my partner, and friends and mentors. You need a very good support network. This is critical. Take opportunities. Whenever you see an opportunity, don't be afraid to grab it. It's very important also to be responsible for your own career. You must have a plan. Where do you see yourself in 5, in 10 years' time? What is your vision for yourself? Then do something that you are passionate about. Remember, attitude is also very important. Always have a positive attitude. Like I said, there will be failure, there will be challenges, but your attitude towards them is then important. Finding work-life balance is important. Take care of yourself, your mental health, your general health. This is very important. What the other colleagues also mentioned, you have to persevere. You have to have mental and emotional strength. Right? Besides the whole lot of skills that you need to learn as a scientist, to present, to write papers, etc., you need to learn other soft skills as well. How to lead, how to be emotionally strong, how to be tough, but not tough in a bad way, tough in a good way. Don't be afraid to take risks. It's important to take risks, okay? Even when you're the only woman in the room or in a meeting, say what is in your heart. Right. As I already mentioned, you will have failure. Don't let this be a setback for you. When you reach the top, you also advocate for other female scientists. You help the younger generation. You help them to grow and learn. Seek out new opportunities. It's important to take risks. If you're not going to take risks, your career is not going to go anywhere, right? Very important, you have to build next works. Surround yourself by excellence, right? Have people you look up to, learn from, right? Don't let anyone or anything stop you, right? Be a mentor to others. Listen to your own voice, okay? What else did I want to mentor? Yeah, so all of these, most important, have a passion for what you do, persevere, work hard, be determined, and believe in yourself. And if you do that, the sky is the limit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, the audience, is the audience still here? Are they still here? Are they still here? Please give me a thumbs up, because I don't know if you're still here. These are fantastic things. Okay, you're still here. Women, you can see that. One of the things Dr. Karen Cloete has mentioned, passion. passion. You can't go far without that. In fact, if you check the program, the conference program, we have a highlight of our programs for next year. So the tips and tricks we're having for next year will focus on scientific virtues, your inner boost, the things that oil you out, and passion is one of the first. So it's quite important. And then she mentioned taking risk. You know, many of us actually don't go far because we're afraid of what will happen. But in science, you need to take risk. Those who have become whatever they call them, Nobel Prize winner or whatever, many of their discoveries were accidental. They did it many times and something happens. They took risk. All right, so this is very important. We have had very good session. It's possible that we may encroach into the next program because I want to give the audience time to react. I am leading that session, no problem. I will come to that. But if I bring up my slides again, there are quite a lot of things to discuss here. We have not finally touched, but I think we have touched the key things here. There we have shared the present experience. And finally, to my panelists, we are focused on gender equality. Okay, there are many other themes I identified that affect even productivity in Africa. We have tribalism. Yesterday, Prof. Oyewale Tomori focused on multidisciplinary collaboration. Some issues here will affect that. When we look at for those who are from where we come from, then we kill diversity, even diversity of ideas. So the point here is that it is not only gender inequality that we are having. So I just wanted to bring up this point. Ethnicism is my sister, brotherlism, friendlyism, you go to fatalism, you go to different types of things. Few words from my panelists. What is your opinion on this? Let me call on Prof. Obiri-Yeboah to start. These additional things here.
Thank you very much. These are all words that negatively impact our research productivity, particularly in Africa. In fact, anywhere that is practiced, it would, and we find it practiced more here, where just on the basis of being from your tribe, just on the basis of being a friend, you want to put the person on a research project, though that person truly does not have much to contribute to it. And even on publications, people want to do the dash and gift authorships and all of that. It all negatively impacts the research productivity in Africa. So whilst we tackle the gender dimensions, I'm happy you raised this. There are so many of the issues impacting our productivity that goes beyond just gender. And whichever gender practices, friendlyism or whatever terms you've coined up, it would not work too well for us. So we have to deal and tackle with those also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will use this opportunity before I go to Prof. Ogu. SFI is organizing the course Reproducibility in Scientific Research. That course is a course every researcher should take. It's a course you see, it touches on some of these things. My colleague, Dr. Eman Sob or Dr. Ajibola Oladeji, you can post the link for those who have not applied. It is free. It's free. Okay, so look at it, look at the dates, and mark your calendar. It's free. We have space for 300 people. So it's a course, and some of these things will come up there. All right, Prof. Ogu. Yes, these are other things that we have mentioned in addition to the gender inequality issues. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, which other things?
Oh, you didn't see my slide.
Yes.
Do you see my slide now?
Yes, I do. How do they impact our productivity?
Yes.
They do impact. For me, if you are a nice person, you would reap along your way. Let me put it that way. Let me use like sisterlism. If you are looking for research collaborators, it's possible to get people to collaborate with you based on your name alone. But after a while, your retention value depends on how you treat people. So to be able to participate in research effectively, you need to be kind. I think that's the way I can explain it. You need to be kind. You need to take people as human beings. You need to be humane in dealing with people. And in so doing, you will retain your collaborators.
All right.
Am I communicating?
Yeah. But I wanted you to take it from the perspective of favoritism. It may be because you are from my tribe, the positions that are available, I give it to you, and not look at how more qualified the other person from that tribe is than you.
Oh, but if you do that, you're unethical. It's unethical, and it will always come back to haunt you. And so when people get positions based on favoritism, ethnicity, sisterliness, or all that, it comes back to haunt you. It doesn't work that way. That is what I believe. In the same vein, that is why I believe that women should be given opportunities, not because they are women, but because they can do it. Yes, we will also preach that women should be given opportunities because they are women, just to balance the scales. But at the same time, let the person who is qualified do the work. What you can do for your sister, for your friend, for somebody you care about, is to train that person to be able to deliver. And with time, the person will deliver. Everything is about learning. You can learn. Attend leadership courses, you will learn. So don't be afraid. Don't deliberately give somebody a position they don't deserve just because you want to push them up. It will come back to haunt you.
All right. I go to Dr. Karen. Give us a few words of your reflection on this aspect.
I think you raised a very, very important aspect, because we were looking more at the cultural aspects, institutional aspects, but these other aspects are also very important and interlinked with all of this. And I think in a way it's linked with your human value as well. And in science, it is one must realize science and research is tough in endeavor, but in all of that, we should not lose our humanity. We should do science in a way to help and grow society. And also, we should develop a thinking, as the previous colleague also mentioned, that your success is my success. So think to yourself, how do you define success? Is it helping others, growing others? So if we can develop all of those values, our humanity, this can also help indirectly in promoting more gender equality, leading towards a more happy workplace where men and women are both equally treated and can grow their career successfully. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Finally, Dr. Bannerman, please. All the Zims.
Yes, thank you. What the first thing I would say to that is that for anyone who has that kind of approach in either appointing or giving opportunities, you need to change that mindset. You just know that you need to change that mindset, because you are not only affecting research science in general, you're also limiting yourself badly. You're limiting yourself because you have this platform in order to be able to grow. as your research grows, you're also growing as an individual. You have this platform, and instead of leveraging to get the right expertise to take you to that place you need to be, you're doing something else. So you have to do everything you can to change that mindset and don't limit yourself. How I work, I don't see black, white, brown, green, blue. I don't see that. I just see the potential and use that in order to do whichever work I'm doing. When I conduct programs within the African continent in which I had to give prizes and get some funding to, what I do in those cases, I appoint an independent body to oversee wherever there are benefits concerned. It's also, there's something called unconscious bias. So you need to help yourself as well. Appoint an independent body to oversee certain appointments or benefits that are there, and that keeps you on the right path, because you're limiting yourself and you're damaging science in general if you have all these themes in front of you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much to we can continue on this the whole day. I will not finish this discussion, but time is not a friend now. We have reached our limit, and we'll open the floor. Please, we can take a few reactions. Make it very snappy. If you want to ask a question or say something, please let us know. But one thing I want to still emphasize for ASFI members, through Dr. Eunice from Bele, please take that. ASFI women, I think that would be a point of reflection going forward, so that this discussion can continue. All right, I see Vera, please.
Thanks so much, Prof. Can you hear me? Okay, so what I wanted to say is that listening to this conversation, it's quite exciting, and I kept on smiling a couple of times. But of course, there are a lot of other things we need to appreciate. To start with, our male colleagues, they actually have a double rafter, especially in the space of science. Is that they put on a very confident face sometimes, so that they're able to sail through. But what differs between men and women is the levels of discipline and consistencies. So maybe we want to join them on that, because we realize that sometimes it's much easier for men to fall and rise again and keep on with what they were doing. But for women, most of the times, we have the tendency of falling and giving up. So it's critical for us as women to also evaluate the internal space and appreciate the fact that there's a lot more we need to do before trying to think about how are men contributing towards the gender inequality and the likes. And then another thing is that women sometimes are enemies of themselves. So it's a complex situation around behavior change. Maybe one of the sessions, Prof. Bright, would consider women to just talk quite sincerely about us being enemies of ourselves and appreciating the fact that in one or another, we have sabotaged our fellow women towards professional growth within our own spaces, or we have witnessed a woman sabotage another woman for basic reasons, probably biological reasons, or maybe any other thing. So maybe it's important that we get to that noble and sincere discussion and think exactly how are we limiting ourselves as women. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is maybe we also want men to join us in this party to support the growth of women. So while we are at it, believing that we as women are really exposed and we really need to work double-fold to prove ourselves. Right. We also want those men who are our cheerleaders in the different spaces, so that they're able to support us amicably. I think that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much so much. You have the permission now. I repeated it twice. I will say it again. You are a leader in the in the General Assembly. So you have the go-ahead, discuss with Eunice and the women in the team. Let's get it going. Of course, don't exclude the men. The men who want to join, they are permitted. Maybe they will learn something from there. All right, finally, I will call on Dr. Uchechi, please, Onyedikachi, to make her point. Please make it snappy so that we can run away from it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. I got my eyes glued to my screen all through this discussion because it was very interesting and it points directly to me and to many women because we really want our voices to be heard, and I really appreciate the panelists for making this possible. But the most interesting part of it was when they were sharing how they did improve themselves, and I took notes all through. And I just want to add that if women can volunteer, it will really help us to train ourselves. Like the SFI platform where I belong, it really improved me. And I want to add that other women should volunteer and take up opportunities that would help you grow and then make you confident. And then secondly, I want to add that to also build your confidence and make your voice to be heard as a woman, we need to start training ourselves from the home front. Yes, we're talking about gender disparity and then a way forward. And we find that some of the problems we face as women start from our homes, from our spouses. And so I want to say that if we can start, helping ourselves, training ourselves, just like all the luminary women told us today, we will gain respect from our spouses, our husbands. And that way you find that your growth in your career and then your visions and visions you've set for yourself will be very possible. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Onyedikachi. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it. It's not all that needs to be said. Dr. Uchechi has given a call, and I know that the panelists are happy. If they form this group, I am sure, Professor Dorcas Obiri-Yeboah, that you'll be happy to speak to them. I know some of the things you said here are parlor talks, the kitchen talks and the bedroom talks, you didn't say it. So when you meet the women only, I think they will have more specific questions that really they face. So I think you'll be happy to engage with them and see how you can support this thriving population. I think that also goes to Professor Rosemary Ogu. Dr. Karen Cloete, she has always been available to support, and then Dr. Bridget Bannerman. So please make yourself available whenever they call on you. See how we can. I think these conversations will help African upcoming women to fine-tune their steps in the right direction and become better people. All right, here we end it. Audience, thank you very much. We can't take more questions, but I think the key points have been made. As we go into the next year, we'll find time to see if we can bring more engagement. For the men, maybe it may be a turn next year to bring men to talk about their own problems. All right, let's give them a very big round of applause for this sterling performance they have done. You can, I didn't say you should climb there because I wouldn't hear the sound. You can just give a reaction on the screen there. All right, let me hand over to the moderator, Dr. Jerry Kwapai.